Now, Mark Elsner is the head of Global Risks Initiative at the World Economic Forum, and he also joins us live now from Davos. So, Mark, so much is going on in the world right now. The WEF 2025 Global Risk Report highlights many of the challenges for the years ahead. Take us through the data and how you got there.
Many thanks for having me on. So yes, our Global Risk Report released last week looks at risks on 3 time horizons, 2025, 2027, and all the way to 2035. Now, if we look at 2025, the top risk by some margin is the risk of state-based armed conflict. 23% of our respondents to our survey were most concerned about this risk above all others. Over a medium-term time horizon, the risk that comes out on top is misinformation and disinformation. And over the longer-term time horizon, it is environmental risks that really dominate the landscape. These include extreme weather events, biodiversity loss and ecosystem change, natural resource shortages, critical changes to Earth systems, and pollution. 5 out of the top 10 risks in the long term are environmental risks. So how did we come up with these findings? Well, we conducted a survey of over 900 experts and decision makers from the World Economic Forum's networks. So this includes people from the public sector, the private sector, academics, civil society, and international organizations. And this is a format that the World Economic Forum's Global Risks Report has been using for 20 years now. This was the 20th edition of the report.
Indeed. I want to zoom in on the state of geopolitics, because that's one of the risks that is also covered. 52% of those polled anticipate an unsettled global outlook. So what could now be the effect of the 47th President of the United States in all of this? Is he potentially the biggest risk, especially in the short term, to the global order?
Well, it's interesting you note that figure of 52% expecting the outlook to be unsettled. In addition to that, there are a further 36% of respondents who expect the outlook to be turbulent or stormy, which are the 2 most severe categories of risk that we offered. And that's over a 2-year time horizon. But interestingly, when you look over the 10-year time horizon, pessimism is actually a lot higher. So over 10 years, 62% of respondents expect the outlook to be either stormy or turbulent. So this suggests that it is more than any particular new administration coming in. New administrations in any country at any time will introduce new policies, and that does bring some uncertainty. But I think when you look at that long-term concern that is being expressed in our survey, you realize that it's beyond any particular change in government.
Now, Mark, away from the data itself, we know that the World Economic Forum is really a concentration of some of the brightest minds, whether they work in tech, sustainability, politics, sport. But how does all of the ideas that are shaped where you are at the WEF filter down to everyday people? Or is perhaps also the technological advancement widening the gap between the rich and the poor?
Well, it's a very good question. And in fact, the risk that comes top when it comes to answering the question of which risk is most interconnected to other risks is inequality. So indeed, inequality is the one risk that if only we could globally could address it, it would have a very significant impact on a whole host of other risks. So you're right to highlight inequality as being extremely important.
Mark Elsner, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Mark Elsner, Head of Global Risk Initiative at the World Economic Forum, who joins us live from Davos.